Welcome to the fifth video of All Summer in a Day. Open up page number 113, last paragraph. We have to continue from here. The children lay out laughing on the jungle mattress and heard it sigh and squeak under them, resilient and alive. They ran among the trees, they slipped and fell, they pushed each other, they played hide and seek and tag. But most of all, they squinted at the sun until the tears ran down their faces. They put their hands up to their yellowness and that amazing blueness, and they breathed of the fresh air and listened to the silence which suspended them in a blessed sea of no sound and no motion. So here you can see that Ray has very beautifully described the children laughing, playing and absorbing the fleeting moments of the sunshine which they had seen for the first time. Here the way they played, isn't it? The way they played means all these things tell us about what? About their innocence, about their happiness. So here once again I would like to say that Ray, he has very well depicted their innocence and their happiness. How do we know about it? Because in the way they ran, they tumbled, they played games and whatever they did in excitement. Okay, the way they were running among the trees, and time to time what did they do? They looked at the sun with amazement. So here you will see meaning of squinted. Squinted means they looked up at the sun with eyes partly closed. And what is the meaning of? There is one more word I had seen. Yeah. They looked at everything and savored everything. They looked at everything means they wanted to what? You can say grasp, gulp everything that was in their sight. And they wanted to enjoy every moment and everything that they saw. Then what happened? Wildly, like animals escaped from their caves, they ran and ran in shouting circles. So here, a figure of speech is used here. It is a simile. How did they run about? Just like wild animals who escape from their caves. In the same manner, they were also running and shouting in circles. They ran for an hour and did not stop running. So see their excitement, their happiness. They kept on running for 1 hour and they did not stop. And then, in the midst of their running, one of the girls wailed. So while they were all running, one of the girl among them, what did she do? She wailed, she cried out. And then what happened? Everyone stopped. The girl, standing in the open, held out her hand. Oh, look, she said, trembling. So here, what did the girl do? She stood in the open and held out her hand. And then she told the other children to look. And they came close to look at her open palm. And in the center of her palm, cupped and huge, was a single raindrop. She began to cry. So what was there in her palm? A single raindrop. And seeing that raindrop in her palm, she began to cry looking at it. And then the other children, they glanced quietly at the sun. So now their excitement, it ended up because raindrop was there in a girl's palm. And so they very quietly started looking at the sun. And then what happened? A few cold drops fell on their noses and their cheeks and their mouths. The sun faded behind a steer of mist. So now gradually what happened? The rain had started. there were some drops of rain which was falling on their nose, on their cheeks, and on their mouth. And now what happened? The sun faded and the sky was covered with cloud. A wind blew cold around them just before rain comes. This is the atmosphere, how it is like. They turned and started to walk back towards the underground house, their heads at their sides, hands at their sides, their smiles vanishing away. So now their excitement, their happiness, it all ended, it vanished. And now what happened? Very silently, very quietly, they started walking back to their underground house. And now what had happened? Their smile had also vanished. A boom of thunder startled them, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. So a boom of thunder startled them. So when there was thunder, what happened? The children, they were startled. And just like what? Like leaves before a new hurricane. What happened? They tumbled upon each other and started to run. Lightning struck 10 miles away. So they could see. Lightning were 10 miles away. Then it was 5 miles away. Then a mile. And then what happened? It was a half mile. And then the sky, it darkened into midnight in a flash. So the sky, that moment, some time back, it was daytime. Why? Because of the bright sun. But now, as the whole sky was clouded, so it seemed as if what had happened, they were in midnight. And then what did they do? They stood in the doorway of the underground for a moment until it was raining hard. Then what happened? They closed the door and heard the gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons and avalanches everywhere and forever. So now what happened? When the door closed, they could hear outside what? The gigantic, the very huge sound of the rain falling. Heavy rain falling. Just like what? Avalanches everywhere. And it seemed as if this rain will be forever. Another figure of speech is used here. It is a hyperbole. I have told you what is a hyperbole, so you have to explain it yourself. Here also a figure of speech is here. It is an imagery. What kind of image can you make out? It is a sound image. A boom of thunder startled, isn't it? So after this, will it be 7 more years? Now the children, they are talking among themselves. Now, will it be 7 more years when they will be able to see the sun? Yes, 7. Then one of them gave a little cry. Margot, what? So here, then one of the child realized and cried out, Margot. So here, what? And then what happened? She is still in the closet where we locked her. So here the children are talking that she is still where? In the closet where they had locked her. Margot. And then what happened? They stood as if someone had driven them like so many stakes into the floor. They looked at each other and then looked away. They glanced out at the world that was raining now and raining steadily. They could not meet each other's glances. Their faces were solemn and pale. They looked at their hands and feet, their faces down. Margot, once again. One of the girls said, well, no one moved. Then what happened? The girl whispered, go on. They walked slowly down the hall in the sound of cold rain. They turned through the doorway to the room in the sound of the storm and thunder. Lightning on their faces, blue and terrible. They walked over to the closet door slowly and stood by it. Behind the closet door was only silence. They unlocked the door even more slowly and let Margot out. So here, when the rain started once again. What happened? The children, they rushed back inside their underground houses, and then that was the time when they realized that Margot was still locked in the closet. So, and that is the time what happened? They realized, they felt guilty, okay, for having locked Margot in a closet, because they had locked her in a closet because why? Because of their lack of knowledge about the sun, and they could not understand Margot's feelings. So it was until they had spent time outside basking in the sun that they were able to understand how much Margot she had sacrificed when she moved where? Moved from the earth to Venus. And they felt very ashamed of their act, and then means out of guilt they very slowly they went to the what? Closet, and they opened the door and let her out. So this is where the story comes to an end. You are supposed to do all the passages given in the workbook as your homework.